West Virginia continues to reel in transfer commitments as they've picked up 4 more here in recent days. Let's talk about them. What's going on, Mountaineer Nation? Welcome back into the Country Roads webcast here for another transfer portal update as West Virginia remains red hot in the transfer portal this post-spring cycle as they've reeled in 4 more commitments. It's been so hard to keep up with all of this. They've been coming in so hot and heavy. It's a great problem to have, right? It's funny because I did a live stream day before yesterday covering multiple commitments that West Virginia had landed, and literally as soon as I got done with the stream, a couple more came in that night, a couple more came in since then. So that's why I'm bringing you this one in pre-recorded fashion to talk about the 4 commits that I haven't had a chance to talk about yet for West Virginia. 3 coming via the transfer portal, 1 coming from the JUCO ranks for the Mountaineers, their second edition in this cycle coming from the JUCO ranks. But West Virginia up over 20 transfer additions here in this cycle, and a lot of them I think are going to be very impactful, not only for this season, but maybe even for the future. And I'm excited about some of these additions, particularly the one that we'll talk about towards the tail end of this video. But then at the very end of the video, we will give you guys an update on the target list for the Mountaineers, because they may not be done in the portal just yet, despite the fact that they've landed commitment after commitment. West Virginia is still working to have the best roster possible for this upcoming season. So with no further ado, we're going to get into talking about each one of these guys. But before we do, if you guys would just do me a quick favor, hit that thumbs up button, help us out with that YouTube algorithm, help us find more Mountaineer fans like yourself. And if you are a West Virginia football fan and you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, go ahead and do so. It's going to give you these transfer updates right into your video feed there, into your subscription feed on YouTube, and you'll be able to keep up with the West Virginia football roster as it unfolds here throughout the offseason leading up to the start of the Rich Rod 2.0 era, which we'll continue to cover here on the Country Roads webcast. So with that being said, let's get into it. Let's talk about these new additions to the transfer class. First up, we have Elijah Simmons, a defensive lineman coming from Garden City. Like I said, this is the second JUCO edition for West Virginia in this class, and this is the one that literally, it was probably not even 5 minutes after I ended my stream the other night updating transfers, he announced his commitment as well. So they're coming in so fast. Like I said, it's hard to keep up with, but a great problem to have here for a WVU football fan. As you see his commitment graphic there on social media that he shared. He's a 6'2", 280-pound defensive lineman, and I think what excites me most about him is that Zach Alley was the lead recruiter there. So obviously when your defensive coordinator sees something in somebody and targets him himself, that's probably a positive sign for the future, and that will be something that's in play for Elijah Simmons, is not only this season but the future as well, as he does have 2 years of eligibility remaining. Began his career at Kent State before transferring to the junior college there at Garden City, where he had a good season this past year, 5.5 TFLs and 1 sack, playing that defensive tackle spot. He really showcases a great motor, a great ability to not only get in the backfield and rush the quarterback at times, but really I think to shut down run plays there. And, great speed to go with his size there. Good athleticism. Like I said, a high-end motor, I think, is what you see on Elijah Simmons. So we're excited about his addition. So that is one that we're going to talk about here. And then we also had another offensive line addition coming from the SEC. This one is big as well, both literally and figuratively, coming from Tennessee at 6'5", 315 pounds. You see why I say it's a big addition. But also the one thing that we all pointed out heading into this transfer portal cycle was the West Virginia needed to improve the offensive line. They've certainly gone out and made that a priority, adding 6 offensive linemen in just this spring cycle alone, after adding 5 in the most previous cycle there back in the winter. So West Virginia really doing a good job here trying to hone in on improving that offensive line as they have to replace it kind of wholesale. And Aiden Bell, I think, is a good piece, not only for this year, but for the future, because he is someone with multiple years remaining, 3 years of eligibility remaining, and he's talented because he got on the field as a redshirt freshman at Tennessee. He played in over 62 snaps in his 3 games there at right guard for Tennessee, and he had a 72 overall grade and a 72 run blocking grade per PFF in those snaps, and he also allowed 0 sacks. Highly regarded coming out of high school, was a top 20 player in Tennessee and a top 50 offensive lineman nationally. So I think Aiden Bell certainly has a super high ceiling and is a great addition to this West Virginia offensive line, which, don't look now, but a lot of SEC flavor. In the first transfer portal cycle, you had Kimo Makanaiole from LSU. You had Tykees Crawford from Arkansas. Now in this cycle, you've had Malik Ogbo from Texas, Josh Isosa from Oklahoma, Aiden Bell from Tennessee. So a lot of additions coming from the SEC to WVU to help out up front on that offensive line. And I'm excited about all of these additions that are coming up there. And Aiden Bell, I think, is one with a really high ceiling and a bright future at WVU. So that is the second one that we had to talk about, but we still have two more to address here. One of those being Ty Crutcher, a defensive back coming to West Virginia from West Florida. And this is a guy that you're hoping to have, multiple years left. We'll see how it plans out with the JUCO ruling. At least going to have 1 year, could potentially have two remaining. 5'10", 175. And he's a guy that transitioned from wide receiver to defensive back. So he has the speed, he has the athleticism to play the position. And he showcased that in multiple stops this past year at West Florida, 4 pass breakups and an interception. Prior to that, he spent time at Dodge City, where he had 2 interceptions in 2023, which, funny enough, the other JUCO addition that I referenced earlier, the West Virginia got in this class, came from Dodge City there in Caleb Gray. So you get 2 defensive backs that have both spent time at Dodge City, a well-known junior college there. Ty Crutcher transferred up to West Florida, had a good year this past season. Now he'll be coming to West Virginia, joining that secondary, which West Virginia has made it another priority to improve the secondary, and defensive back Ty Crutcher kind of adds to that list here in this transfer portal update. Which, as I pull up our transfer portal tracker here, you can see those 3 recent additions to the transfer in list for West Virginia, which is rather lengthy now, up over 20 plus names here on this transfer in list for the Mountaineers, which began, just a couple weeks or so ago now. And West Virginia's done a great job here in this portal. But those aren't the only additions. We have one more to talk about, and this one I think is going to be highly impactful. I think it's probably going, flying under the radar a little bit, because I think he's going to be a really important addition for this upcoming season. And it's also someone that in our recent live streams we've had on Commitment Watch. And indeed, he does commit to the Mountaineers, so we can take him from our target list to our transfer in list, and that is edge rusher coming from Incarnate Word, Devin Grant, who I think, like I said, he's flying under the radar, but he really shouldn't be, because he's super talented edge rusher that can make an impact for West Virginia. And I think West Virginia's really loaded up on some good pass rushers for this upcoming season. You look in the previous portal window, you got Jamori Robinson there to play the D-line. You got Braden Siders there to play potentially the bandit spot. And now you bring in Devin Grant to add to that mix as well. And let's not forget the JUCO additions that'll be joining West Virginia at that pass rushing spot over the summer as well. So I think Devin Grant, a really good addition for West Virginia in this transfer portal cycle. One of the most underrated, but I think one of the ones that will end up making a big impact this upcoming season. He was super highly regarded coming out of high school and spent 3 seasons at Colorado, so has experience at the power conference level. And don't sleep on Incarnate Word. Number 1 pick in the NFL draft, Cam Ward, began his career there at Incarnate Word. So Devin Grant joins the list as well. Those are the 4 we're talking about in this stream, but we got to talk a little bit more about Devin Grant, because like I said, may have saved the best for last year out of these 4. I think he's one of the most important additions here in this transfer portal cycle. So let's talk a little bit about him as we pull up his commitment graphic. As you see there, him announcing his commitment to WVU on social media. 1 year of eligibility remaining, so he's coming to WVU for his final season. But like I said, spent 3 seasons there at Colorado, appeared in 15 games across those 3 seasons, had 5 TFLs and 28 tackles. But this past season at Incarnate Word is really where he blew up. 11 tackles for a loss and 8.5 sacks this past season. Super impressive numbers there. Nearly a 78 defensive grade with a 71 pass rushing grade per PFF. And this guy was a high school All-American coming out. So super highly regarded as an edge rusher. And I think a big pickup for West Virginia here out of the portal that should not be undervalued, because he's going to make an impact this upcoming season for the WVU defense. So with that being said, now that we've talked about the updates to the transfer in list, let's talk about the transfer target list, because we do have one name to remove off there that is committed elsewhere. And then we'll highlight guys that may be on commitment watch here in the near future, just like Devin Grant was, and then ended up committing to WVU. So the name that we're going to take off here is Jackson State transfer wide receiver Isaiah Spencer, a previous target of WVU, was reported to have visited. 6'2", 285-pound receiver, but he has committed to Virginia Tech as announced here on social media. So with that being said, let's pull up our transfer target list. We'll remove his name, talk about the remaining targets and who West Virginia may have a chance at. All right, so we will remove Isaiah Spencer from our transfer target list, which has dwindled down significantly now, whether it's guys committed elsewhere or West Virginia reeling in a ton of commitments, which they have for the most part in this cycle. Only a handful or so of targets left as we get close to the end of this transfer portal cycle that West Virginia has yet again done an excellent job in, but they're not done quite yet. Multiple of these players on this list have visited WVU, including defensive back Jacob Robinson from Emory and Henry, offensive lineman Jalen Caldwell from Grand Valley State. But the one I think we're really keeping an eye on is tight end Ryan Ward from UNC. He visited WVU this past week. Believe his finalists are West Virginia and Virginia. We'll see where he ends up. West Virginia wants to add one more tight end in this portal class to join Grayson Barnes, who is already committed to WVU. And I think Ryan Ward would be a really good addition there. Another guy with a high ceiling and multiple years of eligibility remaining. A lot of potential there for Ryan Ward, so keep an eye on him. We're on commitment watch for Ryan Ward, the tight end from UNC, Grand Valley State offensive lineman Jalen Caldwell, defensive back Jacob Robinson from Emory and Henry. Don't know if West Virginia will add another receiver. If so, maybe keep an eye on Javon Tate because he has visited the Mountaineers. But I think for commitment watch, definitely be on the lookout for tight end Ryan Ward, defensive back Jacob Robinson, offensive lineman Jalen Caldwell. But hey, let's not rule out West Virginia sneaking in some guys under the radar like they have a few times, including the first three that we talked about. They weren't on our target list. West Virginia got them in, got them on a visit, and got them to commit before it was even reported that they were really a target of the Mountaineers. But there's the full look at the transfer in list one more time as we'll wrap up this transfer portal update as West Virginia adds Elijah Simmons, Aiden Bell, Ty Crutcher, and Devin Grant to that lengthy transfer in list here on this transfer portal update on the CRW. But those are just my thoughts on these prospects, these transfers that West Virginia has coming in. Would love to hear yours, whether it be on any of the four that we've talked about here in this video or the transfer portal class in general. Anything you got there, throw it in the comments. Always appreciate those interactions as we continue to try and grow the CRW community throughout Mountaineer Nation. And before you head out, just one more reminder, if you didn't at the beginning, before you head out and leave the video, hit that thumbs up button. Help us with that YouTube algorithm. Click the subscribe button. Stay up to date on the West Virginia transfer portal news, the West Virginia roster movement. You know, why not know who's going to be on the roster when you watch the team come August? You can keep up with us here at the CRW and have great roster knowledge for the future of WVU football as we get set to begin the Rich Rod 2.0 era, which I can't wait for. And the excitement's only building even further with all of these transfer commitments that continue to roll in for WVU. And if any more roll in or any more players are targeted, we'll keep you up to date with that here on the channel. Having said that, as always, I'm Jordan Cruz, and until next time, let's go Mountaineers.